The air in the New York City courtroom was thick. Day 19 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial had arrived, June 3, 2025, and with it, a sense of grim anticipation. Reporters scribbled furiously, their pens scratching like nervous insects. The jury, a collection of ordinary faces tasked with an extraordinary burden, sat with expressions that betrayed little, yet hinted at the immense pressure they were under. The charges were severe: sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, prostitution. The defendant, Sean Combs, sat at the defense table. His tailored suit could not entirely mask the strain etched on his features. The prosecution had been methodically building its case, brick by damning brick, and today, they were set to lay a particularly heavy stone. The gallery was packed, a silent testament to the public's morbid fascination with the fall of a titan. And on this 19th day, a former hotel security guard was about to step into the harsh glare of the courtroom lights, his testimony poised to send shockwaves through the proceedings and far beyond. His name was Eddie Garcia, a former security guard from the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. As he took the stand, a hush fell over the courtroom. He swore to tell the truth, his voice steady but carrying the weight of secrets. The prosecution began their questioning, establishing his identity and connection to March 2016. Garcia recounted his role at the hotel and the security footage. It involved Sean Combs and a video he wanted to disappear. Garcia revealed Combs paid him $100,000 in cash. The video itself, though its contents were now widely known after its eventual release by CNN in 2024, was described anew for the jury, its disturbing details recounted with chilling precision. The date was March 5, 2016, the location a hallway in the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. The grainy footage, devoid of sound, told a brutal story. It showed Sean Combs, clad only in a towel, chasing after Cassie Ventura. What followed was a shocking display of aggression. Combs could be seen grabbing Ventura, throwing her to the floor. He then kicked her, not once but twice. The violence was raw, undeniable, captured by the unblinking eye of the security camera. The prosecution meticulously walked Garcia and the jury through the sequence of events captured on that silent recording. Each kick, each shove, each moment of dragging was highlighted, emphasizing the brutality of the assault. Eddie Garcia's testimony painted a vivid picture of Sean Combs' escalating panic upon learning of the video's existence. It wasn't just concern, it was raw fear. Garcia recounted how Combs, during their phone conversations, sounded nervous. The usually confident voice of the music mogul was laced with an anxiety that betrayed the gravity of his situation. He knew what the video showed. He knew the potential fallout. "This will ruin my career," Combs allegedly lamented to Garcia, a stark admission of the damage he anticipated if his actions were exposed to the public. The initial contact, Garcia explained, came not directly from Combs but from his trusted assistant, Christina Coram. This layered approach suggested a cautious, perhaps even calculated attempt to gauge the situation and control the narrative from the outset. But as the reality of the video's existence became undeniable, Combs himself stepped into the negotiations. He allegedly tried to minimize the incident, attributing his violent behavior to excessive alcohol consumption. "I had too much to drink," he reportedly told Garcia. The negotiation for the video footage was swift, driven by Combs' urgency. Garcia testified that when he proposed the sum of $100,000 for the thumb drive containing the damning recording, Combs didn't haggle. Section 5, $100,000 in cash, the devil's bargain. The culmination of these desperate negotiations was a clandestine exchange, shrouded in the secrecy that money can often buy. Eddie Garcia described the delivery of the thumb drive. It wasn't handed over in a sterile office or a public place but at an apartment, a neutral ground chosen for discretion. There, Sean Combs awaited him. The nervousness that had characterized their earlier phone calls was gone, replaced, Garcia testified, by an air of triumph. Combs was smiling, excited, a man who believed he had successfully navigated a perilous threat to his reputation and his liberty. The relief was palpable, the exchange of money for silence about to be completed. The $100,000 was paid in cash, cold, hard currency, untraceable, the preferred medium for transactions best kept off the books. This detail was not lost on the prosecution, nor presumably on the jury. It spoke of a desire for absolute deniability, a wish to leave no paper trail that could link Combs directly to the suppression of evidence. Garcia was then made to sign a non-disclosure agreement, a legal document intended to further ensure his silence. Combs also had Garcia certify in writing that the thumb drive he was handing over was the only existing copy of the assault footage. It was a meticulous effort to control the narrative, to ensure this particular skeleton remained firmly in its closet. Section 6. The prosecution connects the dots, a pattern of coercion. For the federal prosecutors, Eddie Garcia's testimony was far more than just an account of a desperate man trying to hide evidence of domestic violence. It was a cornerstone in their broader argument, a critical piece of evidence supporting the most serious charge against Sean Combs' racketeering conspiracy. The $100,000 payment to Garcia, they contended, was not merely a panicked, isolated act. Instead, it was a calculated bribe, an underlying crime that fit squarely into a larger pattern of behavior, demonstrating how Combs allegedly used his wealth, his power, and his business empire to coerce individuals and protect his reputation from numerous damaging allegations. The prosecution argued that Combs, upon learning of the 2016 assault video, didn't just fear exposure for that single incident. Section 7. A public mask, a private panic. Combs' duality exposed. The eventual leaking of the 2016 assault video by CNN in May 2024, years after Eddie Garcia was allegedly paid for what Combs believed was the only copy, forced Sean Combs into a public reckoning. The raw, undeniable footage sent shockwaves across the globe, stripping away the veneer of the charismatic entertainer and revealing a glimpse of a violent altercation. Faced with irrefutable visual evidence, Combs issued a public apology. In a carefully worded video statement, he expressed that he was truly sorry for his actions depicted in the footage, stating he had hit rock bottom and had subsequently sought professional help, including therapy and rehab. This public display of contrition, however, stood in stark contrast to the private panic and alleged criminal actions described by Eddie Garcia on the witness stand. Garcia's testimony portrayed a man not seeking therapy in the immediate aftermath of the 2016 incident, but allegedly seeking to buy silence, to erase evidence, to ensure his career wouldn't be ruined. The $100,000 payment, the NDA, the nervous phone calls, these actions painted a picture of a man desperate to avoid accountability, not embrace it. Section 8. The weight of truth. Implications for a crumbling empire. Eddie Garcia's testimony on day 19 resonated far beyond the immediate shock of the $100,000 payment. Its implications for the entirety of the prosecution's case against Sean Combs were profound and potentially game-changing. By providing a detailed first-hand account of an alleged cover-up, Garcia offered tangible evidence that directly supported the government's theory of a racketeering enterprise. The act of bribing a witness to conceal evidence of a violent crime is a classic predicate act under racketeering statutes. This wasn't just about one assault. It was about demonstrating a pattern of illicit behavior designed to protect Combs and his interests at all costs. The credibility of Garcia's account, if accepted by the jury, could significantly bolster the testimony of other witnesses, including alleged victims of sexual abuse and trafficking. If Combs was willing to pay $100,000 and orchestrate a clandestine operation to hide a video of physical assault, the prosecution could argue, what lengths would he go to silence those with even more damaging accusations? Section 9. The trial marches on. Shadows lengthen in the courtroom. As day 19 drew to a close, the echoes of Eddie Garcia's damning testimony lingered in the courtroom. The prosecution had landed a significant blow, presenting evidence that seemed to directly link Sean Combs to a criminal act designed to conceal another. But the trial was far from over. It was a marathon, not a sprint, and both sides were prepared for a protracted battle. The revelations of the day, however shocking, were but one chapter in a complex and sprawling narrative of alleged abuse, exploitation, and criminal enterprise that the government was painstakingly trying to construct before the jury. The days and weeks ahead promised more drama, more witnesses, and undoubtedly more attempts by the defense to counter the prosecution's mounting evidence. The witness list hinted at further harrowing accounts.